Hello everyone, welcome to the IEEE RAS Solidworks series. Today we're going to be going over Module 1.3, which is linear extrusions and linear cuts. So today we'll be taking this sketch pattern that we have and learning how to extrude it, maybe how to take a new pattern, and potentially do a linear cut, right? And I'll kind of show you how those work, right? And today we're learning and using how to use 3D modeling operations, not just 2D modeling operations. So first things first, we have the sketch pattern from our last video, right? I've made a new save file of it. As you can see, sketch 2 of puzzle piece. All I did is use the file and I click save. Right, so I actually saved my work and I saved it under a new name. Right now what we're going to do, since this video is going to be covering linear extrusions and linear cuts, but the next video will be covering revolving extrusions and cuts, what we're going to be working with right now is we're going to see exactly what the difference is, and we're also going to create new two save files, one for the linear extrusions and one for the revolving operations. So I'm going to go and click Save As, and I think I'll call this puzzle piece linear. I think that'll work just fine. Right? So if I go and take this document that I have with my sketch pattern that is completely grayed out, it's complete, it has all of its bounds properly defined, I can click on that, right? And basically what it'll do is, right now it says I'm in the sketch, but I can click on it to select the sketch, but then go to Features. Right? I can also go to the Feature menu and select the sketch. Either way works, right? But you're just taking all of those lines, that sketch that you've created, selecting it, and then you can go into the Features menu to begin actually going through how to extrude this into a physical mass, a part, and actually begin to have a 3D model instead of just this flat plane outline that we have. So the first thing we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and look at extruding boss base. Right, so if I go ahead and click on extrude boss base, it'll kind of put you at a little bit of an angle, and you'll actually see that if I kind of move the camera around, it's already assigned a extrusion of about 40 millimeters. Right? And honestly, it looks good. If we wanted a puzzle piece, we'd probably make it thinner, like perhaps 5 millimeters. And then it actually begins to look more like a puzzle piece. Pretty good, honestly. But perhaps I want to make it more like an actual thing. I'll go a good solid 20 millimeters. Right, so we kind of have this thick-looking puzzle piece. Right, as you can see, I have the original sketch pattern on the side here. That's outlined in blue. And then I proceed to have the extension or the extrusion out in a certain direction. And you can also extrude multiple different sketches or shapes on a sketch all at one time by selecting the different contours. As you can see in red, that's the contour of my sketch. Right, so there's a lot of different things like blind, up to vertex, up to surface, offset from surface. We're going to go a little bit more of those later, but these are all different kinds of options on how our extrusions will operate. Right now we'll just keep blind. And blind just means from the surface it's going to go out a certain direction, doesn't matter what's in the way, it's just going to create that volume. So I think that's good. I'll go and put the check mark. Now as you can see, we now have a 3D part in our Solidworks CAD. Now there's a lot of different kinds of then sketches and operations we can do. Okay. So to start us off, right, I might want to learn how to create some sort of cut into my part, right? So if I go ahead and go here, change my view orientation, I think I'll go ahead and go to this side, for instance. Or better yet, let's not go there. Let's go right here to this side. Right, so I'm kind of at the extended part of the puzzle piece. I think I want to create an extrusion that goes through the entire puzzle piece. So what I'll do is I'll click Sketch in the Sketch menu, and I can create an entirely new sketch. Right? Now the sketch 3 is on the plane of this surface right here, and I can go ahead and begin to draw a shape of some sort. Right? I could probably draw a line down here maybe. It's a cool looking line there. And maybe I'll take a perimeter circle in which I draw a 1 inside the, which is not quite what we wanted. Let's go ahead and just do a arc. So I'll just do a tangent arc, right? And you can see that all I got to do is move this around, right? And then once I move it to the other side, I now have this shape. Great. Pretty simple shape, pretty simple sketch overall. But now that I have this kind of shape, I can go ahead and go through to the features menu again, and I can make an extruded cut. Now here's the interesting part, right? So you can see right now, kind of the outline of this shape, right? You can see it's going to basically just extrude and cut away all that, delete all that material from the certain sketch that we have on that front surface. Right now it's only going 20 millimeters, so if I wanted to, I could make it 40 millimeters, or just 40 mm, or just 40 would work too. Now it's going to cut all of the material outside of that yellow volume. It's a little kind of overkill, right? I mean, you have a lot of it out there, but if you just wanted to clear out all the material to that surface, it would definitely work. However, that's not the only different kind of setting we have here. So through all, right, what that would do is it just go through every single last bit of your part and just cut through everything. That's one option. You do through all both, up to next, right, up to the next section of the part, or you could just do up to a vertex, up to a surface. Up to a surface is a one you always typically use. Now what it says is we have our contour, right? But now what we do is we select a surface that we want to go ahead and extrude to, right? So it's only going to do cuts up to that surface. If I selected a new surface, you can see how the selected area that it's going to cut to changes. Right, so up to surface is a great way of having to cut through a surface without having to define everything. You could also do offset from surface too. Right, so if I wanted to offset from a certain surface, I can click around a couple of times. Right, and basically you can offset a certain distance that you want your cut to be from a surface. And then up to a body, for example, right, if you want to extrude up to a certain part of your part or a different section of volume entirely, that's something you can do. As well as mid-plane too. So you could you could extrude in both directions from the middle of the plane or the sketch that you're doing. Lots of different options. For now, we're just going to stick with up to surface. And we just want to cut through the surface entirely. So I've kind of selected my original sketch, right? The contour is what they call it. And then I selected a new face to extrude to. Or I could just simply do, as I've shown before, the blind, where I only select a certain distance. For now, we want to go through the entire surface, so we'll say up to surface, click on here. Looks like everything's selected. You can see the yellow outline, which kind of previews what our extrusion will look like, or extruded cut. All we got to do then is hit the check button. And you can see now we've carved out all that volume inside of this part. Right, and it's a really neat thing we did here. Right, and so this is over all these different kinds of extrusions and cuts. This is how we're actually going to proceed to create our entire part. Right. Awesome. Right, so it's these linear cuts and linear extractions. Now, there's a lot of different other kinds of different features we can use over the course of SolidWorks, right? In this video, we won't have the time to cover all of them, but there's a lot of different kinds of 3D modeling operations we can do that are not just sketch-based. For example, the fillet, right? So what I can do is I can select, not a line, but if I go ahead and take the fillet tool and select, yes, actually, sorry about that. What you do is you take the fillet, and it's an operation that happens on a corner, or actually between two surfaces as well. Right, so if I wanted to, I could go ahead and fillet, right, these two faces, and see what happens. Oh, I guess I had a little error there. Let me try that again. So I pick the corner here, use the fillet tool, right, and it'll fillet edges. This is a little bit crazy right here, but basically takes and rounds out those corners. So I can hit the Control-Z button, and we can try that again. Maybe make it a little smaller. Right in here, the radius of curvature is 10 millimeters. That's a lot, so I'll maybe do something like 2 millimeters. Right? Try it again, and oh, look at that. Right? I've actually started to curve out my parts. Right? So you could do the same thing where you select multiple different edges using Shift, however you want to select all these corners, select the fillet tool, and I could just fillet all the different things at once. Look at that. Now we have parts out with rounded and softer edges, which is a great thing if you want to design a part that you didn't want to cut someone, for example. Right? Sharp edges can be dangerous, so maybe we wanted to make a part that's rounded out. Okay. So everything from draft, to where you take a certain part, right, and you can extend it off in a certain direction. Things like shell, where you can empty out a part of a certain 3D modeling object area. Intersection, there's a lot of different things that you can do here, right? You can do lofted cuts, swept cuts. Not all of this is stuff we'll have time to go over because this is an introductive series, but I really encourage you to all make a part, take these shapes, explore all these different kind of 3D operations, right? But these are all different ones that you can use on unique parts, right? But all we've really gone over so far as sketch patterns is using the extruded boss base, which is in a linear direction, and the extruded cut, right? And then everything else here kind of on the right is all different things you can use just on the own shapes. And you can read up on those online, and it'll kind of detail, even these descriptions tells you a little bit more about what all these different specific operations can do. I encourage you to look into them, right? They're going to provide a lot of interesting details to you, right? Right, awesome. So with that, I thank everyone for kind of watching this little Solidworks series videos, and I will see y'all next time.